Three, two, one.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special bonus episode of Franchise Deep Dive with Jake and Josh, the podcast where we typically break down, dissect, and discuss all of your favorite and least favorite movie franchises. But as it stands, we are on the tail end of October, the spooky season, so we thought we would do a fun little bonus episode for you guys where we do a little bit of a horror movie fantasy draft. Yeah, I don't really. Normally, we would go into talking about the movies, but I don't really know. Josh, how are you doing? You just got back from a trip.
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm ready to talk about this draft. I've been spending all morning kind of prepping for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I'm feeling good. I feel rested and energized. So I'm ready to get going. I don't even know. I guess we just kind of talk about the categories we discussed would be like a good, overall draft.
Yeah, all right. Sounds like a plan. We'll get right into it. So if you guys don't know how fantasy drafts they work, if you don't do like fantasy sports, we're gonna do a sort of snake draft, which with only two people, it will definitely speed things up. But basically, we'll decide which one of us is going to draft first. We'll do like a digital coin flip or something, and decide who goes first, and then the next person will get two back-to-back picks. It'll go back to the other person. They'll get two picks. We have 7 core rounds that I had come up with. I just want to make sure that I have them correctly. I wrote them down. So we're doing, like I said, 7 core categories. We were originally going to try to do each round. One of us would pick, and then the other person would pick 2, and yada yada, but we decided to just have the 7 categories, and throughout these 7 rounds we can draft whatever movie we want that fits those categories, make things a little bit more interesting. And then we are going to have 2 bonus rounds at the end of it. I asked Josh to prepare 3 special categories. I have my own prepared special 3. We're going to put them in a randomizer and pick the top 2. And so neither of us know what the other one has in store for them. So that'll make it even a little bit spicier. And then after we draft, we'll do a little bit of debating, comparing, talking about each other's teams. And yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. But the 7 core categories that we have to start are best slasher. That is 1. Best supernatural film. That being 2. Best found footage. Best horror comedy, best remake. We are excluding, because Josh had a little crisis this morning, we are excluding any films that are based on, books. So it can't be, or it has to be a remake of just a film, can't be of a book. So unfortunately, John Carpenter, we're throwing your Thing movie into the garbage bin. It does not count for that category. We are doing best sequel, and then best so bad that it's good. So like a guilty pleasure, it's a bad movie, but that makes it even more fun. And then, like I said, we'll have 2 more bonus rounds after that. Did I miss anything, Josh?
No, that's everything. I'm nervous.
All right. Yeah, I know. I'm feeling the heat a little bit here. I talk a big game about my horror movie knowledge, so I don't want to get to the end of this like I have so many fantasy football drafts and realize that I done fucked up. But we have to decide who is going to go first. So we're going to do a digital coin flip on my phone. I'm an honest man. I promise I won't cheat you, Josh. So are you going to take heads or tails?
I'm going tails.
And this will decide if you want to go first or second. So you can decide. You don't have to get the first pick. Whatever your choice is. You said tails?
Yep.
All right. Let's see. All right. You can see it. All right. We'll do the flip.
All right. Cool.
Josh can see it, so he knows I'm not cheating him. And it is tails.
Nice.
So Josh gets to pick. Would you like to take the first overall pick, or are you going to go for the back-to-back picks at 2 and 3?
Do I have 90 seconds to decide this too?
No. I mean, I wouldn't take all the time in the world, but
I thought I was ready for it, and now I'm like, oh wait, hold on.
Now he doesn't know. No, guys, I did forget to mention that to keep things kind of moving and to keep it within the theme of a fantasy draft, I'm going to pull up my watch. So thank you for reminding me, and we're gonna give ourselves 90 seconds to make our picks. I guess the No, you know what? We're gonna keep it 90 seconds, even if you have to make 2 picks in a row. Yeah, you get 90 seconds for both of them. That's what we're doing.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, would you like first pick, or would you like me to kick it off?
I'm gonna do the first pick.
You're gonna take first pick.
Originally, I wanted the second pick, to be honest with you.
All right. So you're gonna take the first pick, and you are on the clock in 3, 2, 1. 90 seconds.
All right, I'm going best slasher, Halloween, 1978.
That cuts deep. Anybody who knows me knows that that's my favorite movie of all time. It is definitely going to be hard to argue against that one. Whew. All right. This is tough. I did not prepare for this. This is tough. I did not prepare. Let me look over these categories. Josh, do you mind when it's my pick if you do the stopwatch on your phone? Do you have your phone with you? It'll be a little hard for me to keep track of the time, and then also.
I got you.
All right, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. We'll just alternate.
Your time starts now.
Okay, so I get 2 back-to-back picks. All right. I am also going to go with a best slasher, and it's one that I can confidently defend. I'm going to go with Wes Craven's 1996 masterpiece. Yes, I said masterpiece. Scream. And
fair, very fair.
I'm going to knock off my best supernatural / ghost film with my second pick, and I'm going to take William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist, 1973.
Thank God. I thought you were going to do a category that I was just really nervous about.
All right. I looked at these, and I can confidently, whatever you take and any of the rest of the categories, I think I have a confident number 2, even if you take my number 1 choice. So, yep, I'm going with Scream and The Exorcist. I feel like that's a good 1-2 punch, two bona fide classics. But now you are on the clock in 3, 2, 1.
Alrighty, so let's see here. I was fine with Supernatural. I was not in a rush to do that. Let's see here. You know, I was nervous about this one. I had like 2 solid ones, but I'm gonna start with best horror comedy.
Oh,
Shaun of the Dead,
all
2004.
Right. That's a good pick. Edgar Wright, can't go wrong with it.
Edgar Wright. All right. I kind of wanted to, like, would you have counted Scream in that category too?
Yeah. I think Scream can be a comedy.
See, I wanted to somehow like take that there, but and like block you from, like, I don't know. But I knew you would get Halloween then, so
yeah. Halloween's an easy first round pick.
I'm gonna go. Best found footage. I'm going Rec.
Oh, damn.
REC, baby. That was a tough one. That was a really tough one.
I knew I was honestly, instead of The Exorcist, I was thinking of going Rec with
Dude,
my
you
second
should have.
pick.
Because there's like, I think the Supernatural, I think there's so many great ones that, like, you know, there's like a top 2 for me. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'll just wait for that one now.
All right. Yeah. All right. So you just hit 90 seconds, so you got your picks in. All right.
Wow, did I really?
I think you hit it with like at 80 seconds.
Man.
So you're good. You made it in. You didn't have any mishaps.
Thought I had all the time in the world there.
No asterisks. Dude, that 90 seconds, it goes quick, man.
It really does.
Yeah, let me know when my
You start in 3, 2, 1.
All right. Best horror comedy. I'm going with one that I think is just as funny and also actually works as a horror movie over Shaun of the Dead, and that is Sam Raimi's Evil Dead 2. I think for me,
it's not bad.
For me, it is peak horror comedy, and I'll save my defense for the rest. And then best found footage. Now this is going to be an interesting one, and I'll defend it more so when we get to that portion of this episode. But I'm going to take the original Blair Witch Project with best found footage. And I guess that ends my turn, right? That's the next two.
Yep. Are you writing these down like what we each picked?
I had it pulled up on my Microsoft Word. We'll take a short break. I'll keep track of both our teams.
Right, cool.
All right, Josh.
Alrighty.
We are back, and your time for your next two picks starts in 3, 2, 1.
Ah, man. Okay.
This is where it gets hard.
Yeah. Let me just say to everyone, my hardest one was round 7. The So Bad It's Good. I still am like kind of stuck on that. So I'm just gonna wait on that. I think. Is this my last two picks, or do I?
No. You, in terms of what categories you still need, you need best remake, best sequel, and best So Bad It's Good, and best supernatural.
Okay. Got it. Shit. All right, I'm going first best remake.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with 1979 Nosferatu the Vampire. Which I'm not sure if you've seen, but
I have.
Oh, you have? Okay.
I think I saw it in college. They made us watch both of them.
Cool. What's my time at?
You have 30 seconds.
Okay. God damn. Okay.
Tick tock.
You know what? This one could go either way. I'm just gonna go best sequel, and I'm gonna go Bride of Frankenstein.
Bride of Frankenstein. All right, that is honestly a really great pick. Bride of Frankenstein. Okay.
Man, I really gotta fucking think of this. So Bad It's Good. I still don't know.
All right.
Sucks.
Let me know when my time has begun, my friend.
All right, your time is in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. So for best remake, I gotta double check. I believe this is a remake, but I just want to make sure I know I'm wasting time. Okay. I am going to take, for best remake, David Cronenberg's The Fly, a remake of the 1958 film by the same name.
Nice
Body
pick.
horror. Yep, gotta love it. And this is tough. For best So Bad It's Good, I'm throwing out a real Hail Mary here, and I got a lot of personal experience with this movie. For best So Bad It's Good, I'm going with David Gordon Green's Halloween Kills.
All right.
And I can explain it. But those are my picks.
Okay. Ah, man. See, I want to like pick something that I kind of know like other people saw too. I don't want to get like too obscure. Dude, I haven't. Oh yeah, did my time start?
Oh, we'll start it in 3, 2. Oh, that's my calculator, not my clock. 3, 2, 1. 90 seconds on the clock.
Okay. Let's see here. You just have sequel left, right?
Yep, sequel is my last one.
All right. Okay, let's just get this one out of the way. I'm going to go best supernatural, my personal favorite, 1980, The Shining.
Okay. That's a good one.
Cool.
That's a good one.
Cool. You gave me a face. I was like, is he going to dispute that?
I was thinking like the whole based on a book thing, but we only made that rule for the remake category.
Yeah, just remake.
Yeah, you're good. No, I would take the act. Yeah, I'm confident with it.
Yeah. And don't forget Exorcist is a book too.
I did forget that. I did. You got me there. Also, you have 30 seconds left.
Son of a bitch. Okay. Dude. Shit. I'm going to go. What's my time? Tell me when I'm at 10 seconds.
You got 15 seconds left.
I haven't seen this in so long, so I'm scared to pick it, but I know it's a really popular one. I'm gonna go Birdemic. Shock and Terror.
All right, that's a good one. That's Best So Bad It's Good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So Best So Bad It's Good. We'll lock that in. Birdemic.
Dude, I was thinking about doing Leprechaun.
No, that's honestly there's for Best So Bad It's Good. I feel like there's a lot of picks. Like you could go with a lot of different things. Best Supernatural. What did you pick for that again?
The Shining.
The Shining.
Yep. Dude, I probably should have gone with Leprechaun. I feel like that's just like a better like horror pick.
No, Birdemic is good. All right, so I have one pick left, and then you still have. Oh no, I think that's it. Never mind. This is the last pick. All right, for best sequel, I am closing out our Halloween movie fantasy draft with a film that I've really grown to love in the last couple of years, and that is George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. Okay. Zombie classic.
Yep. Those were my two. Those were my top two. I was fine with getting either of them.
Yeah, I'm happy I was able to get Dawn in the 7th. Pretty happy with that. And now we get to the fun portion where, I mean, not that it wasn't fun before, but now we get to kind of spice things up a little bit. And
do we still get 90 seconds for these surprise ones that we have no time to think about?
No, we'll give ourselves a little bit more time.
Oh, okay, all right.
We'll give ourselves 2 minutes. We'll give ourselves 2 minutes, an extra 30 seconds. All right.
Dude, this is tough. This is tough.
So let's each reveal ours. Would you like to reveal your 3 first, or would you like me to let you know my categories?
I'm still between two. You go first. Between these two, I'm gonna just say what they are. No, I'll just go with one. I'll just pick one. Yeah.
And then the other one goes into the ether, and we never know what it is. All right.
They're very similar topics, but yeah.
So when I approached Josh with this idea of the sort of random categories, it was just to have a little bit of fun with it. So these are my 3 categories. They're a little bit specific, but I think they're pretty fun. My first potential round is best 4th film in a franchise.
Oh, you went with that? Okay.
I did.
I should have thought about it too when you said it.
My second, and I really hope we get this one, is best horror movie with Dick Miller in it.
Dude, you gave me examples. I should have just thought about them.
And my third one is one that is probably the least wacky of the bunch, but best PG horror movie.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
So
I almost thought about like best like family horror movie, but I was like, I don't even know like what that means because like is it a horror movie? I don't know.
Anything but any of the Halloween towns is my answer for that.
So wait, I forget. Did you say we put all 6 of these in like a
Yep,
a
I'm
generator?
gonna put it. I have a randomizer pulled up, and then whatever come up as like the top 2. So while you're reading yours off, I will type mine in.
Okay. All right. So my first is gonna be grossest horror movie scene. Just one that like really just makes you feel sick. Like you know, it doesn't even have to be like the goriest. It just whatever really gets to you. Grossest
Horror scene. I actually love that. I think I want that one. That's so good. Because I have one from a movie that I just watched recently that is up there.
Yeah, I got one that's like always with me, and I feel like I've seen grosser, but it just makes me feel sick every time I watch it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
We're gonna go best year for horror movies.
Ooh. Whole year. All right. I like that. All right. Now hit me with that last one.
How do I word this? Okay. I'm just going to like kind of like talk about my thought process here. Originally, I just wrote best scream queen.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Then I was like, okay, I feel like there's like a couple obvious ones and I don't want to make it so easy. So then I was like, okay, maybe best looking scream queen. But then I was like, okay, no, I kind of want to spice it up a little bit. So we're going to go a little gonna get a little juvenile with this. Okay, we're gonna go hottest scream queen.
Okay. Hottest scream queen.
Yep.
There's an easy answer. There's an easy answer. Hottest scream queen.
Oh, I wonder where your easy answer is.
Oh, she's my number one all time.
I wonder if she's on my shirt right now.
Hold on, let me see your shirt. No, it's not her. It's not her. For anyone wondering, he's wearing an Elvira shirt. All right, so we will randomize it. This one I can't really prove to you that I'm not cheating, but honestly, I love all 6 of these, and I kind of like yours better. So, all right, we'll randomize them. 3, 2, 1, randomize. Okay, the top 2 are best year for horror and best movie with Dick Miller.
Oh God.
I'm so happy about the Dick Miller one. All right. Whew. Okay, so since you went first,
Oh wait, we're only doing 2.
do you want to do 3?
Oh yeah, I thought we were doing 3.
We'll do 3. I'm
Should
down.
we-
Okay, well, number 3 is hottest scream queen.
All right, cool.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm totally down. We're making good time anyway. So,
All right, let me see.
all right.
Let me just write these down real quick. I'm just gonna write Dick Miller and best year, right?
Yeah, let me add the bonus rounds to my Microsoft Word sheet so I can keep track of that. All right, guys, we are taking another break while I put in our other picks and the new rounds. All right, guys, thanks for that short little break. We are back for our 3 bonus rounds, and no need to do a coin flip this time. I'd say we'll switch it around. Josh went first in the regular rounds, so I will take the first pick in the bonus rounds. And we can pick any, right? We're doing same rules apply. Any for the 3? Okay.
Yep.
Ooh. Let me think. Oh wait, yeah. Let me know when my time starts too. You can.
Oh yeah.
All right.
2 minutes, right? 3,
Yeah.
2, 1. You got 120 seconds.
Oh boy. Okay. I'm gonna take with my first pick in the bonus rounds. I'm gonna go with best year for horror. I'm gonna go 1973.
Okay. Solid. It was one of my options,
But I feel like
but it was not. But it was not my pick.
That's fair. You can
Yeah.
feel that way.
I will feel that way. However, there's one in there that I didn't see that I really want to see, and I hear it's really great.
Yeah. Well, we'll debate it. We'll throw some jib jabs at each other.
Oh, but it doesn't look like you've seen it. Oh, you better have a case for this year, Jake.
Oh, I have plenty of cases. One of those cases being one of my picks that I already have.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So you get 2 back-to-back picks. Then I take my 2.
Oh, we are doing back. Okay. I don't know if for
Unless
3
you
picks
want to
we
let
just
me go first each time.
No, I'll take 2 picks. Hey, don't worry about it. Okay. My time start.
We are starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. All right, Dick. Let's go. I'm gonna go. I'm starting with Dick Miller, and I am gonna do Night of the Creeps.
All right.
I absolutely love Night of the Creeps.
As you should, my friend. As you should. What's the next pick?
I'm gonna do Hottest Scream Queen, and I still want to think about this for a second.
You got time. You're only at 34 seconds, so you got time.
Man, I love this girl. So this is a special one for me. I don't know if you're gonna even go for it, but I think I'm gonna go. This isn't necessarily the best looking, although I think she's really good looking. But this one just like, I'm gonna go Barbara Crampton.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Whatever.
That's an all right pick. I'm happy for you.
It's a great pick.
I'm you know what? I'm happy you feel that way. So those are your 2 picks, correct?
Yep.
All right. So I get 2, correct?
Yep.
All right, back-to-back picks. Let me know when my time has started.
You start right now.
All right, I'm gonna knock out hottest scream queen, and
He's gonna beat me.
well, see, here's the thing, because this may be one that I don't know if all of horror fans really side with me on, because I don't necessarily think that everyone thinks hot when they think of this character and
Okay.
this actress, but I think to me she's an all-timer. She's my number one of all time.
Yeah, I know who it is.
I'm going with Neve Campbell as
Yeah,
Sidney
yeah, that's-
Prescott in Scream. You know what?
I was trying to
Hottest-
avoid that one.
You know, we'll debate, but you know, it just, you want to talk about sheer beauty and just being one of the most magnificent creatures to roam Earth ever, possibly. Neve Campbell is up there for me.
You got
Love
it.
that girl. And best movie with Dick Miller. Now this is tough because I'm between two films right now, and I'm gonna go with the more fun one. You know, these are, I guess, the more fun rounds, so it suits it to have a more fun pick. While I do love Gremlins and think it is an excellent Christmas horror movie, when I think pure fun and stupidity and just you throw on with a group of friends, Chopping Mall is so high on my list. So I'm taking Chopping Mall for best movie with Dick Miller, because you find me another movie where security robots go around a mall and kill a bunch of hot teenagers. They don't exist. There's only one, and it's Chopping Mall. And I think that closes out my team, at least. Josh, you have one pick left.
You don't have to give me a time limit on this. I'm just going best year, 1960.
Okay, that's up there too. I don't know why I knocked out 1973 to begin with, because I feel like there are just so many great years for horror. Now, one last little break, guys, so I can lock in our final picks, and then I can read out both of our teams, and then the debate begins. So one more commercial break, guys. We'll be back. All right, guys, welcome back. That was our last little commercial break. I just had to write down those last couple picks for us, make sure there was no errors. So now I'm going to read out both of our teams. On Josh's team, you have the original 1978 Halloween from John Carpenter as his slasher movie. His best supernatural is 1980's The Shining by Stanley Kubrick. Best found footage, the 2007 Spanish found footage flick Wreck. Best horror comedy, he locked in Shaun of the Dead from Edgar Wright. His best remake is Nosferatu the Vampire from, 1979, correct?
Yep.
1979. Best sequel, he had Bride of Frankenstein. Best So Bad It's Good, he locked in Birdemic. Best year for horror, he had 1960. Best movie with Dick Miller, Night of the Creeps. And hottest scream queen, Barbara Crampton. Now, Josh, you may have to help me remember, because I realized I did not write down a couple of my picks. But slasher, I took Scream from 1996, Wes Craven's meta slasher, excellent film. Best supernatural film, I took 1973's The Exorcist. Best found footage, the original Blair Witch. Best horror comedy, I took Evil Dead 2. Best remake, I took The Fly. Best sequel, I took Dawn of the Dead from 1978. Best So Bad It's Good, I took Halloween Kills, and I don't regret it. Best year for horror, I took 1973. Best movie with Dick Miller, I took Chopping Mall. And hottest scream queen, Neve Campbell. All right. Let it begin.
You know, I'm surprised you didn't take hottest scream queen first.
I was worried that you were going to grab Neve Campbell from me.
There's a lot of me that wanted to. Let me tell you that. And that's why I tried. If you heard, I want to just rewind to my thought process of this. Before it was best scream queen. And I was like, okay, I feel like that's an easy Jamie Lee Curtis, Neve Campbell, probably. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe a couple others. But then I was like, okay, now let's do best looking. And then I was like, okay, no, because Neve Campbell's still at the top, because I think Neve Campbell probably has the prettiest face. But when I said hottest, I was factoring in and just like their overarching horror movie presence. Just like, I was trying to like pick that way. And yeah, Barbara Crampton just kind of like, she's at the top.
She strung to your mind.
Yeah. And she's just like, I don't know. She's got such a like, she's got a wide span of horror movies. I feel like Nev's just kind of in like, what other horror movies is she in?
Her big two are obviously the Scream movies and The Craft.
Yeah. Yeah, so you got a good one. You got a beautiful one.
Hear me out. And so yeah, we'll get into like this is where we throw those jib jabs. Barbara Crampton, unbelievably attractive, and for any true horror fan, anybody who's like really deep into the knowledge and watching all those like cheesy B movies, she's actually in Chopping Mall, which is one of my picks, which is a very like cheesy B style movie. But you gotta there's something to being in a lot of horror movies, and then there's something to being in classic horror movies. And I just think Neve Campbell, to me, not only is she just, Sidney Prescott, a great character, like one of the most iconic, like you said, if it came down to like literally just best Scream Queen, even if someone threw in Jamie Lee Curtis, I would still probably put Sidney Prescott above it. But I don't know, man. Something about Neve Campbell. She is just, again, just a natural beauty. She is conventionally hot, but also just gorgeous. She's also incredibly badass. Like, there's never one time in any of the Scream movies when you're watching them where you're like, I don't buy that Sydney's fighting back this hard. She's a fighter. She's badass. She's drop dead gorgeous. And what actress has been such a staple of their franchise? Like, you have a couple of Halloween movies without Jamie Lee Curtis, right? There isn't really a main lead of, the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. You have your best bet is Nancy from the first film, who comes back in the third, and then Heather Langenkamp plays herself in New Nightmare. So she's got 3 movies, but there's other. Freddy is the star of that.
Yeah.
Ghostface is just a mask that people wear consistently. Sidney Prescott is the face of Scream. And there's a reason. It's because she has the best face.
Well, hey, where Sydney is the star of Scream, or at least one of, if you count, the killer. But, dude, I mean, she's not really like, I wouldn't say she's a representation of an era. Barbara Crampton, 80s. That she's got like that decade, she swarms that decade of like versatility. And she is just all over the place. And that's why I didn't want to do best Scream Queens, because where I think obviously Neve Campbell has like the peak character of like a better Scream Queen. Barbara's she's just all over the map with just in different parts, but she's just like, she's just in that decade all over the place. Neve Campbell's just kind of like, she's in a series and that's it,
I think Neve Campbell for a lot of people is like a crucial part of like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, and that's tough because what I'm talking about, that kind of like factors into the best Scream Queen. So I want to try to stay away from that. Barbara, I just think is just hotter. Like she's just hotter. She's not as good looking. She's not as good looking in the face, but like, I don't know, if you watch her movies, you kind of know what I'm talking about. There's like there's a little there's a lot of like modesty to Neve, and listen, there's nothing wrong with that. That's why she's more beautiful, I think.
Yeah. No, but that's she leaves some, to the imagination.
Yeah, she does.
Whereas Barbara Crampton, not as much in the 80s. But I don't know. I like.
She's more fun. I think Barbara's more fun too. Like she just seems, she has a more fun presence.
She's fun, but she's just never. No, again, she's drop dead gorgeous. Like, if it was like who looks more like a model, obviously Barbara Crampton is like the model. Yeah. Like, but I don't know, just there's something about Neve Campbell's beauty that radiates, and it's lasting. I know Barbara Crampton, but again, like, she's not that memorable in
not
things.
Reanimator, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah, she's fine. She's like not even the main character of Chopping Mall. Like. Whereas just like Neve Campbell, it just is a star. Barbara Crampton is like, you put her in a lineup and that's all beautiful women and she's beautiful. You put Neve Campbell anywhere and she lights up the room. She stands out.
As beautiful I think Neve is, she doesn't have that hot factor, I think, that Barbara has, you know?
I think her being a badass is hot. I do. When she fights back against Ghostface every time, it's like, damn, she could kick me in the face.
Listen, Barbara has a better scream. Let's be honest. She just has a better scream.
That's because Sydney doesn't have to scream. She's too busy kicking ass.
What kind of scream queen doesn't scream here and there, you know?
One that makes the killer afraid of them. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's move on to a different round. I'd like to get into 1973 versus 1960.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to lay out some titles for you. The Wicker Man. Mm-hmm. Don't Look Now. The Exorcist. Come on. These are certified classics.
What else you got there, Jake?
Blackenstein. Count Dracula.
You know, so 73 is up there for me. It really is. And I was just thinking about this the other day, and I was kind of going through like my top like years. I have like a pretty like core top 5, I feel like, or at least close to it. And 73 was up there. You know, I used to think 78 was better, and it's not. Like after you have like there's like 3 in there, it really trails off like badly, I think. If you like look at that year, it has Halloween, Dawn of the Dead, and Body Snatchers, and then I don't think anything else. It's kind of crazy.
I mean, because like I feel like you're lucky if you get a handful of good horror movies a year. It's just not that frequent. Like,
I will give you another one though for your decade, and I shouldn't be doing this because I don't have to do this, but Theater of Blood with Vincent Price.
I don't think. Yeah, I no, Vincent Price is one whose stuff I gotta really kind of work in, but
yeah,
I'm more curious what your defense is of 1960.
Let me just rattle some of these off to you. Okay. Let's see here. All right. So let's just start with Psycho. Okay. And just like where I think Exorcist peaks over Psycho. I do think that. I think there's a lot more consistency in that decade. Let me see here.
That decade or that year?
Oh, sorry, that year. My bad.
Okay. I was going to say, if it's a decade, then 70s clears 60s.
All right. So we got Psycho. Peeping Tom, which almost is better than Psycho, in my opinion. I don't know if you've seen Peeping Tom.
Yeah. No, I like Peeping Tom. It's very, very influential, and not a lot of people give it the attention that it deserves.
Eyes Without a Face is fantastic. Now, those are my top 3, which I think already beat the top 3 that you got. But we also have Black Sunday, which is my favorite Mario Bava film. I think Black Sunday is so good. But I also have House of Usher with Vincent Price, which not as good as the 20s one, but I still think it's great. You got to watch it. It's excellent. And just a solid one, Village of the Damned. Now, those are 6 movies I can actually speak on because I've seen them. I don't know if you've seen Don't Look Now, Jake.
No, I have.
Oh. Fooled me on Letterboxd.
Yeah, again, like I've had waves where like I haven't logged everything. No, Don't Look Now is great. Like again, The Wicker Man is like, I don't know. They're just, again, for me, it's quality over quantity. Now, I'm not saying that all the ones that you listed aren't good, but I think my top 3 definitely stack up well against your top 3.
They stack up very well, which is why 73 is one of my years. But in my world, Exorcist is your peak. That's above all of my films. Psycho, Peeping Tom, and Eyes Without a Face, for me, are under that, and then it's Wicker Man.
I'd honestly, and this is maybe personal bias, but yeah, I think just even as a film and its impact, like The Wicker Man is such a unique and interesting film that I think, you know, it sort of gets lumped in, unfortunately, I think, with like you bring up The Wicker Man, and a lot of people are like, wait, the one with Nick Cage and the bees. So it's like unfortunate that I feel like it gets lumped into that crappy remake. But the original is like, it's one that I saw for the first time 2 or 3 years ago, and it's just like, holy shit, like, this is actually like, yeah, it's one that I had gotten to way later in life, and regretfully so, because I don't know if I would have appreciated it as much when I was younger, but as an adult, it's just the whole final ending of the film. And not to say that like Psycho doesn't have a great ending, but I this is gonna get me some hate. I don't even like using this word. I tend to fall into the camp that Psycho is a tad bit overrated. And I understand.
No, I'm fine with that. I am fine with that. I actually think Psycho could be near perfect if it wasn't for the like very end, right before the end.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think the final shot of that movie is so good. I just wish they had that. And before the exposition scene in that, I think that kind of taints it a little bit. The movie all around, though, for me, like, I don't know.
I just think this comes down to a debate where I think maybe your films from the 60s are a little bit more classic, this is horror. Whereas I think films like The Wicker Man and The Exorcist especially are two films that they sort of transcend the genre a little bit, whereas Psycho is a really great contained horror film. Like, the premise alone is terrifying. You have this woman who's on the getaway. She's running away from something or someone, and she ends up at this hotel that just happens to be run by this crazy person, right? So it is really cool in a horror sense, but it's not as if like the story itself is that compelling, whereas there's not that much, character depth and development. Like, the most you get is Norman Bates, and you don't really get that till the end of the movie, so it's more of like a retroactive. Whereas I feel like a movie like The Exorcist is one of those few movies that even if someone didn't like horror, I could easily recommend it to them, because I'm like, yeah, there are horror elements in it, and it works really well in that regard. Like, the stuff that Reagan says and does when she's possessed by Pazuzu is terrifying, and it's creepy, and you picture a 12-year-old girl saying and doing these things, and it's even a film that's, 50-something, close to 50-something years old at this point. Like, it's crazy, like, that they even allowed that stuff to be made at that time. But it's also a really compelling, well-written film about a mother who is losing her daughter to this otherworldly entity. And also the best character in the movie, Father Karras. It's a really great movie about a man struggling with his own faith. Like, some of the best scenes in that movie aren't the horror scenes. It's the scenes about Father Karras talking about losing his faith and, how he's dealing with losing his mother and the guilt that he feels. Like, those are some of the best scenes.
It's the best. It's the best out of these options. I'm giving you that. But where it does, I do agree with you when you said it transcends the genre. I also think that can go to Psycho too. I don't really know if Exorcist has a single scene that is more famous than the shower scene. That, like, there isn't any one scene that has gotten talked about as much as that shower scene. How shocking that was, and how terrifying that was for that time. But what would you have if you didn't have Psycho? Would you have Black Christmas maybe? Which also, you wouldn't have Halloween. Would you have Halloween at all? You probably would if you had Black Christmas. But would you have Black Christmas if one's for Psycho? You got to think of.
Would you have Psycho if you didn't have Peeping Tom?
Well, they were at the same time, so I don't know, like,
which is crazy because they are like eerily similar in a lot of senses.
I know Peeping Tom was like more shocking though. Like, that was banned, I think. But so I don't know, like, for you too, like, Halloween's your favorite. Where would you be without Psycho? Like,
no, and I totally give Psycho like the credit. It's not. Again, like, that's why I didn't even like using the word overrated, because I think it is a genuinely great movie. I just think it doesn't hold up as well as some of the other classics. Yeah. Like, I do think even movies in the 60s, now granted, like 8 years apart, but like a film like Rosemary's Baby or Night of the Living Dead, I think hold up better as like movies and as horror movies than Psycho does. And I think there's better Hitchcock movies than Psycho. And it's, again, not to discredit Psycho at all. It is super influential. It is super well made from a technical standpoint. It's super well shot. And, like, all the movies that you listed are good. I just think when you, like...
Said good. Good. Yeah. Eyes Without a Face, just good.
Okay, Eyes Without a Face is truly great. There's no denying there. I just think, again, the three that the 73 has... And this is my I in hindsight, I should have picked a decade that I could defend a little bit more personally because I haven't seen.
68 was my second pick, I think.
68 is great.
68 is wonderful. Like
my first go-to was 74 because I think there's just a lot in 74.
Yeah.
But no, I stand by 73. I think The Exorcist, like, and I'll talk about it maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, you got The Exorcist all over the place.
It's one of my pick. I genuinely think it is the greatest horror film ever made. Like, from an unbiased standpoint, I think it has an amazing script. The performances all around are fucking incredible. It's scary still to this day, I think.
Note is the scariest, yeah.
It's unsettling. And it's just an amazing story. And, like, there's, stuff to be said about the production of the film and how poorly the actors were treated and that sort of stuff. William Friedkin is maybe not the best guy, but great director. But yeah, why don't we move on? We'll discuss.
I want to kind of leave that argument with this though. I've heard from other people that Don't Look Now is debated if it's a horror movie or not. A lot of people call it just a thriller, like a drama thriller.
Line, you know what? I'm so sick of this line between horror and thriller being drawn.
Yeah, they're not the same.
Where do you draw the line? Like, what makes Halloween a horror film and not a thriller?
I mean, you have like, there is like an active mass murder. There's like a slasher that's part of the genre.
Okay, then is Zodiac a horror film?
No, but I think it's how it's directed too. I think you have to also look at score. Score is important.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I haven't
like how the main theme in Jaws is a horror theme?
And doesn't have anything else? Or is it just that one theme?
The one theme that they play over and over and over again? I'm not doing this with you again, Josh.
Yeah, the entire sound. First off, it's common knowledge also. There's like two sides. It's not like a known fact that Jaws is a horror movie. There's a lot of sources that call it just a thriller, and that's what it is. It's actually more adventure. It's more adventure, I think, than horror.
It is a creature feature.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That's crazy.
Get out of here.
That is crazy. No, watch a true creature feature, and there's some things you could just tell, and how Jaws is directed throughout the film. There's horror elements in Jaws. I think it's a lower subgenre. I think other genres are more prominent in that movie, and I think it could be the same as Don't Look Now. I heard that's more of like a drama-based thriller. It's the same thing with Sixth Sense. I don't think Sixth Sense is a horror movie. It's a thriller.
Yeah, I don't consider Sixth Sense horror.
Oh, but why not? Oh, but there's such scary scenes.
They're not scary scenes.
That movie was really scary to people. And it's supernatural. Yeah. It's supernatural. There's ghost elements, right? But it's just not because of how it is directed throughout the film. You just teetered on your own argument. You said, I'm tired of this line between thriller and horror. What makes this one and this not? You just said Sixth Sense is a thriller.
Well, yeah, you got me there. But no, I don't know. Even the first time I saw The Sixth Sense, I guess I just didn't know people considered it horror.
Silence of the Lambs too. I don't consider horror movie, but some people do.
You could though, because it applies like the same logic to like there's a mass killer around. Like, it's that's I don't know. I think it's up to the individual person to decide whether it's horror or thriller because.
Yeah,
there's certain things that
these aren't facts. These are just my view of it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna sit here and say it's a fact that Jaws is not. I'm fine.
Jaws is horror though.
I've told you I'm fine if you think it's a horror movie. I personally don't. I don't see it as one. I don't like when I watch it. I don't get that feeling. But
all right, well, while we're on the topic of The Exorcist, actually no, let's skip The Exorcist for a little bit because I was gonna compare our supernatural picks, but I would like to make my argument for best found footage.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Because you got marketing on me. You got like revolutionary, but do you have quality in your film?
So this is where I want to throw your own argument back in your face. One of your big arguments for Psycho is how influential is it?
Yes.
Look at all these films that it influenced, and I don't think there is a more influential film in any genre of horror than Blair Witch. Now, I would like to go on the record and say this is where I'm trying to be unbiased because I am not someone who loves the Blair Witch. But
me neither.
I completely understand why people do. And I will give you that Wreck is a better film head-to-head. If it was just head-to-head, but I don't think you have a Wreck without it. You don't have Paranormal Activity, which is one of the most profitable horror franchises of all time. You don't have films like Cloverfield, which is a really cool blend of like a monster feature and found footage. It has done, and I might not even be the biggest fan of found footage films.
Yeah,
there are some that I like. There are some that I like.
Yeah.
But when it comes to just massive influence, you have a film like Blair Witch, which just completely, like you said, revolutionized the genre. It does have really good performances. I'll give it that. Like, they are fairly convincing in my opinion. And the whole concept of like, it would have been really cool to have been like a teenager or in my 20s when that movie came out, to just see like the response and the reaction to people being like, is this real? Like, what the hell is going on? Using the actors' real names instead of giving them, you know, fake character names, the whole viral marketing campaign, the whole just playing it up as like, oh, this is this real tragedy to get people invested in it. And as much as I find the movie to have some issues and I may not be in love with it, it without a doubt, I think, has one of the best endings to a horror film in a really, like, maybe in the last 30 to 40 years. It has a really powerful ending, so much that I do think the ending makes some people remember the movie being better than it is. But again, the whole just influence it's had, I don't want to say it invented a genre, because, you know, you have a film like Cannibal Holocaust, which did come out earlier.
It kind of revolutionized it.
In terms of like how we always argue, or we always say that Halloween is not the first slasher, but it's the one that made slashers a big thing and brought them into the mainstream. That's basically what I'm saying is Blair Witch is the Halloween of found footage movies.
So, I know you probably saw my face that I was just couldn't wait to just rip into this topic. So, no, you're right. Blair Witch is known as like one of the best marketed horror movies too, or maybe the best marketed horror movie, maybe one of the best marketed movies. I don't know. That's definitely up there, right?
That was for sure. I think just in general, like, which the marketing is just brilliant.
I think what it did to the public is more impressive. I mean, no, I'll give you what it did for the genre. I do hold how much good comes out of like revitalizing a genre. So my point is, like, found footage is not a strong genre to me. It's not a strong subgenre to me. So Blair Witch has that, but because of Blair Witch, look how many shit movies we do have. You know, this is my weakest subgenre, I think, in horror, or at least one of them. And I can give credit to where credit's due. I know what Blair Witch did. What it did, though, is it as important as like just so let me just give you an analogy here. Halloween is better than Black Christmas. You would not have Halloween if it wasn't for Black Christmas. So that's my argument here of Rec is better. And I don't care if you did how much you did for the genre, especially if you didn't do that much good. You didn't really bring out classics after you. At least like Psycho and Black Christmas, they brought classic slasher movies. I can't really think of one classic found footage movie. Rec is like the closest thing. And Rec is actually scary, like a lot scarier than Blair Witch, I think. And like you said, you did agree it's better made. So you have like a better. I do agree you have like a better staple, I guess. But where I don't think the movie has the quality to back it up, you know, is it more of a staple because of how it was marketed? Rather than like the quality of the movie, you know?
No, I definitely think it's a movie that it's the same kind of how I feel about the original Paranormal Activity, where I'm not particularly fond of it, but the fact that they made a movie for $10,000 and it blew up and became massively successful. Like, I'm always going to be a huge proponent of like small independent films that are made on like shoestring budgets absolutely exploding. And in the same way that Halloween, you know, $300,000 in, you know, that time really wasn't that much. It was considered a very small independent film, and the fact that that just blew up and became massively successful. So I see a lot of parallels in just like the inception and success of movies like, you know, Blair Witch and Halloween. But one thing that I think that Blair Witch does have in terms of the edge is that as great as Rec is, I would go on record as to say Rec is my favorite. Like I don't think I hid my reaction well when you drafted Rec. Like that was gonna be my pick.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Rec as a movie, but when I'm watching Rec, and it is like you said, it is very scary. It's terrifying at times. It still feels like I'm watching a movie, a very, very good movie. But for what it's worth with Blair Witch, even though I don't love it as much as a film, there is something to its authenticity. And not only is it marketed very well, but just in the way that it's shot, the way that the characters act and interact with each other, the really shitty quality of like them filming at night with a camera that can't see shit. There is something to it feeling authentic and real. Like, you know, it is. We're adults. We're not kids. We're not stupid. We know it's not real, especially now. You know, I wasn't really old enough to see. Blair Witch was what, 99? So I was like 2 years old. So definitely wasn't watching it at that point. But, you know, overall, when it comes to Blair Witch, I just think it does feel like you're watching these people just who got lost in the woods and are starting to go insane. And so there is something to the authenticity of it. And where I can say, yes, Rec is the better movie. It's more entertaining. It's better made. There is something to the fact that Blair Witch being a less well-made movie does lend to the found footage aspect. So where I'll say Rec is a better movie, but I think Blair Witch is a better found footage movie because it feels more authentically found footage.
Have one question for you, Jake.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta wonder, why were you upset that you didn't get Rec then?
Because I love Rec.
If it was, let's just be honest with the crowd here.
Don't pull that. I am making a solid argument here, good sir. And
no,
you
you
can't
are.
Take away.
You are. But see, I think it's funny that I think if you had the first pick here, would you have actually picked Blair Witch over Rec?
I would have. Because, again, it's best found footage, not best movie using found footage.
I see.
It's all about the wording, Josh.
Well,
I say we move on. All right. This is one I feel pretty confident in. Best horror comedy: Evil Dead 2 versus Shaun of the Dead. To me, and I said it a little bit when I made the pick, I think Shaun of the Dead is absolutely hilarious. It is fucking off the walls laughs, start to finish. It is a very well written movie. It is very well acted. Nick Frost and Simon Pegg are incredibly talented. This was back when Edgar Wright still was making good movies. And no, I'm just kidding. I just didn't like Last Night in Soho. Sorry, Edgar Wright. You're awesome. I love most of your movies.
You better apologize.
But no, Shaun of the Dead is such an all-time classic. I was watching Scream 4 recently, and in Scream 4, there's a scene where Hayden Panettiere and Emma Roberts are watching Shaun of the Dead on TV. It's a movie. It's a very iconic film. But to me, it is a horror comedy because it's about zombies. But to me, it's a straightforward comedy. There are some sad scenes and the zombie attacks and stuff, but I'm never once really all that scared. I don't think it is, just from the way the film is lit to how it's shot, it never feels like it's trying to scare me. Evil Dead 2 is unbelievably hilarious. The physical comedy from Bruce Campbell is off the charts, award worthy at times. Just the man is throwing his body around, smacking glass off of his head, fighting his own hand, but also there's still some pretty creepy, unsettling, and just downright terrifying things in Evil Dead 2. For me, it just works the best as an actual horror comedy and not just a comedy with horror elements. And that's my defense.
Listen, it's been a long time since I've seen Evil Dead 2. I know how good it is as a horror comedy. I don't think there is a better one than Shaun of the Dead. I think, and you know what? I think when I first saw it, I used to kind of just see it as a comedy, like you said. But I can't deny it's surrounded in the genre. Like, it's still Evil Dead 2 has better horror elements. I'll give it that. But it's weird. I would wonder, like, because I know how popular these two are. I wonder what would be like the top pick for like best horror comedy. Because like I remember Evil Dead 2 just being just off the walls, like nuts, just really lended itself to like how fucking like silly, but like not in like a bad way. It's like just crazy silly, and I don't know. I really do have to watch it again, but from what I remember, nothing really tops Shaun of the Dead to me. I think if I'm like, I'm trying to think, because you said there's nothing really scary in that, and not that I like watch that and I'm ever scared, but I'm not really scared in Evil Dead 2 because I'm scared in Evil Dead 1 more like a lot more so, but Evil Dead 2 is, I don't know, is that like, that could be more of like a horror movie than comedy, or do you think it's pretty equal?
No, that's like my whole defense of it is I do think it strikes the perfect balance. There is not many movies, in my opinion, that even come close to balancing out the horror and comedy sides. Most of the horror comedies that you see are pretty much just comedies rooted in the horror genre. Like, you know, like I feel like Shaun of the Dead is obviously it's a play on Dawn of the Dead. It has zombies. But again, it feels like it's going for being a more comedic film than it is horror. Whereas I feel like Evil Dead 2 is trying to be scary and trying to be funny at specific times. And sometimes you don't know whether it's supposed to be funny or scary. And that sort of blend and that confusion just adds to the overall experience of the movie. But there's so many films, you know, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, you know, one that I think does it really well too is Cabin in the Woods. Like I think Cabin in the Woods is a very funny movie, but then also there are some pretty creepy stuff.
That one is definitely more rooted in horror than comedy to me. Like I think that one's like, I would say 75% horror, like 25 comedy. But like
and
Shaun,
that's
I don't
the
know.
issue.
I think there is a very good balance in Shaun. I don't think so. I think it like is like I think it does treat itself as a comedy, but I think it works very well as like a horror movie as well. Like not in the sense of like it's trying to scare you. I don't think a lot of horror movies are like that scary though. So I don't know. That's kind of like that is very subjective there because
that is subjective. Like, but I also feel like it's like the tone and like you said how it's directed. You brought that up earlier. It's a lot of the time between like horror and thriller, how it's directed, how is the approach. When you take a movie like Evil Dead 2, it is still Sam Raimi. It is a continuation in a very strange way of the first Evil Dead. But the Evil Dead 1 is very straight up horror. Like you said, it's more creepy, it's more unsettling, it's more rooted in just flat out horror. Whereas there's nothing in Evil Dead 2 that I feel is out of place as a sequel. You nailed it. You hit the nail on the head when you said it's just completely bonkers. It's batshit crazy. It is just full on chaos. And it feels like a natural extension from the first movie where it's like, it's genuinely Bruce Campbell losing his fucking mind for 90 minutes. And that's where it's like, you stop to think and you're like, oh my God, like these Deadites, they're fucking shitheads. They're just tormenting him and he's going insane. And that shit is kind of scary, you know, but also there's shit where he's like, again, he's smashing like 6 plates against his head and it's just pure physical comedy. It's such a good blend.
I think Evil Dead 2 sometimes just, well, a lot of times gets more ridiculous than Shaun of the Dead, where like it really goes into the far, like Sean's comedy.
Dude, he gets sucked into a fucking wormhole at the end of the movie.
Sean's comedy is like, it's very apparent, but it's not like, it's kind of like subtle kind of, but it's like obviously
I don't think it's very subtle.
No, like in the sense of like,
especially Nick Frost's character.
I don't think it's ever really that ridiculous compared to like Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 2 is like very ridiculous.
Yes.
So I think there is a balance, but I think it kind of like fluctuates very extremely throughout the movie. Shaun is like a very even. I'll give you an example. So like the shower scene with Pete. That scene is directed very creepy. It's like I remember that like that would jolt me and scare me like when I was the first couple times I watched it. But there's nothing funny in that until like kind of the end when he's like walking towards him. But before that, it's very like it's directed like a horror movie.
But so that's the thing with Shaun of the Dead and most horror comedies is it's always the end line is a joke. It's always even like the end of the movie where it's like, oh, they're all fucked and then they get saved and that
sounds like a balance to me. That sounds like you're kind of like you're treating this as a horror movie. You're kind of like ending on like a slight joke or a little comedy. But as funny as Shaun is, like you said before, it is very sad. It like there are genuinely
there's genuine emotions. You're right. He's a very talented writer and director.
But I
And
think that also plays into the horror genre too. Like you have very like serious moments. Do you get that with Evil Dead 2?
I think you do. Like again, like there's the scene, and again, it lends itself again to just horror comedy, and it's he's trying to he's decapitated his girlfriend, and he puts her head in a vice, and she keeps going in and out of deadite form back to the original version of her, like the real, like his actual girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's causing Bruce to go fucking insane, and it's sad. Like it plays like this little piano melody, and it's sad, and you really feel for Ash, and then it just goes, and then it cuts to comedy, and it's just being a little shithead head in a vice, making fun of him and like talking shit, because that's what deadites do. They're little jokesters. They just fuck with you.
Yeah.
But they're also creepy as hell. Oh
I
my
think-
god, the scene in the basement with with Harriet. Do you I know it's been a while, but do you remember that?
I can't remember specifically. Like I really can't.
Oh, dude, can I just set the scene real quick for you? It's so
Go for
good.
it.
So this is when in the film, you want to talk about just great horror scenes. Throw Ash. Ash runs into the owner's daughter, her boyfriend, and then these two like hillbilly people who drove them up to the cabin. And they attack Bruce because he like tries to shoot at them, and they throw Bruce Campbell, Ash, into the basement. And they start playing her father's recording because he's the one who owns the cabinet. And he talks about him reading the book one night, the Book of the Dead, and it turning his wife into a deadite, and he had to kill her. And then he says, I buried her in the fruit cellar. Cut to Ash, and he looks down, and it's so good, and he turns, and there's like the the Sam Raimi classic zoom in on his face, and then it cuts to what he's looking at, and Harriet just fucking busts out running at him. It is genuinely like just one of the most terrifying scenes in any of the Evil Dead movies. And again, like there's so many scenes like that in that movie, and then there's really funny, silly shit like when he starts losing his mind, going bananas, and like the decorations around the room, like the deer head on the wall, start laughing with him. It's pure and utter insanity, and again, it just hits all the beats for me.
Well, that's fair. I think Sean blends the two genres a little, like blends is the key word there. Blends. I don't think it has like I don't think it displays them. Like I'm not saying Evil Dead 2 doesn't display both genres, but I think Sean is like I said, Evil Dead 2 is very like you're either getting this genre and then it immediately goes to that, where Sean's like just like an even like a gradual.
It's a more consistent experience, whereas Evil Dead is, like you said, it's very high this way, high that way.
This is the best I can describe it. I think Evil Dead 2 is maybe the funnest of the two. I think Sean is the funniest. Like I think a good film that could kind of that I was thinking about, if I didn't have Sean and you got Evil Dead 2, I'd probably pick Brain Dead or
That's a good one.
or Dead Alive, however you know it.
I was considering
like that
Return
one
of the Living Dead.
That's a lot of fun. But Brain Dead for me is kind of matches that chaos that Evil Dead 2 has. It's just ridiculous, but it's so much fun. And I think that's kind of more of like what Evil Dead 2 is. But they're both good picks. They're both good representations of like horror comedy.
Absolutely. To me, they are probably the two best horror comedies. Like,
but I think
it really was.
For me, it's tough for me to like not go like what is the more quality film, which is kind of like what we were talking about last genre, like best found footage film. Does like Blair Witch kind of like represents the genre better, but Rec like perfected it,
That's fair. But in this round, I think Evil Dead 2 is a better overall movie than Shaun of the Dead. It's close.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What do you mean better? What do you mean better?
I think it's a better
overall
movie. Yeah, I think it's a better movie. I don't know how else to say that.
We'll talk about that's what?
I don't think that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Evil Dead 2 has like incredibly high reviews.
No, that is insane. That is insane.
I don't think that's crazy at all.
Shaun, it destroys it with its script alone, I think.
They're two very different movies going for two very different things.
But
Shaun of the Dead is also a lot more using familiar elements from other horror movies. I think Evil Dead 2 is a lot more original.
I don't care.
Get
Like,
out
I
of
don't
here.
care. I
This
don't
is not a
care.
crazy take.
This is the newest take I've heard from you. I've never
No,
heard you say this.
I love Evil Dead 2 and Shaun of the Dead. It's close. Like, it's not like a huge margin. But I do think I still stand by Evil Dead 2 like being like just really up there in horror movies. Shaun of the Dead too. I like Evil Dead 2 more.
No, that's fine if you like it more.
No, I think
Is
it's
it
better. Yes. Better cinematography.
Okay.
Hands down.
That's the craziest take I've ever heard.
That's
Never-
the craziest take you've ever heard.
That's the craziest. That's
Evil
the craziest.
Dead 2, a horror
Yep.
classic.
Yeah.
That's not a crazy take.
Yeah.
I know when
If
I
you
have
want-
hot takes.
No, if you want to say it's a better horror movie than Shaun of the Dead, I'm fine with that. I'm
No,
fine
I
with that.
think
But as like on the greatest like movie scale of all time.
No,
just
I would put Evil Dead 2 higher. Absolutely. Way more
You
creative.
know, I used to
way more
think-
creative camera work.
I used to think you were like a big Sean fan and like a big Edgar Wright fan and
I
like respected
am.
the movie, but like this is
Shaun of the Dead's not even my favorite Edgar Wright movie.
so
What? I will say this: I'll put Hot Fuzz above Evil Dead 2.
all three of them are above Evil Dead 2.
Ah, get out of here.
All three of them are.
No, The World's End is definitely not better than Evil
I think it's
Dead
better.
2.
I think it's better.
We're getting so off topic.
Yeah, no, I'm.
All right, let's go.
this
Let's
is-
move on. I think we have we have best
think we have, like,
remake,
4
best
genres.
sequel, best so
Or
bad
4.
it's good. Oh, we have a lot.
Yeah, we got to try to like.
All right, let's keep it concise. All right, let's each have one. We won't retort, but we'll have one solid defense and attack of the others. So I'll kick off for best remake. I think for it to be best remake, it has to be better than the original. I think it has to be more influential. I think it has to have a bigger impact on the genre. And I think when people think of The Fly, they think of David Cronenberg's The Fly. I don't think they really think of the 1958 one. You get a standout, and I mean standout performance from Jeff Goldblum as Grundlefly. You have a really, really dashing looking Gina Davis. The special effects are disgustingly beautiful and some of the best you're going to see in any 80s movies. The transformation scenes and just like his slow degradation over time it's mesmerizing and also disgusting. It's like a car crash. Like, you can't look away, but you really want to, because some of it is just so gross. And like I said, when you want to think of a remake, you want to think of that over the original. And I think when people think of Nosferatu, they definitely think of the 1920s one over the one from the 70s.
You know what? You got a really good point there, and you definitely have me on like if people saw this draft, they would side with you 100% because I don't think a lot of people saw the 1979 Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess when I was picking it, The Fly was up there, and I love The Fly, and it is better than the original, and Nosferatu is like not better than the original. It's just not. But I think it is overall. I personally think it's a better movie than The Fly, and that's kind of where I was with that mindset. I think the overall like scale of that movie, I think it's shot so well, and I don't know how to say the cinematographer's name. Looks German, but looks German. But
Yeah, you attempt it.
oh, you want me to attempt it?
Yeah, give it a shot. Let's hear it.
Dude, I don't even like. I know this is like an easy like. I feel like it's an easy name to pronounce. I just don't know how to.
Yeah.
Do you have it up?
No. Hold on, I'll look it
All
up
right.
real quick.
Let me just. How would you pronounce this first name?
Nosferatu from 1979, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. George?
Like I would wonder if that's just George.
Is it George or
But, like,
Jorge?
It's not Jorge. There's no E.
You don't know. He's dead.
I was just gonna say George. It looks like George Schmidt. Reitwein?
Reitwein.
Reitwein.
George,
Yeah.
George
yeah.
Smith Reitwein. Okay, that's
Yeah.
our attempt at the German cinematographer
Yeah.
from Nosferatu.
And Klaus Kinski
Yeah.
performance is just like through the roof. Like he is just so good, and the just the makeup they do on him, like production value alone, I think is just like magnificent. But yeah, you're right. It does not excel the original, and The Fly does. So if you're looking at it from that scale, maybe The Fly is the better remake as a remake.
I think just two for my last little throw in, and then you could say whatever you want, and then we'll move on to the next category. But I think when it comes to The Fly, when you think of vampire movies, there's a lot of vampire movies that you could think of, and a lot that you could put above Nosferatu. When you think of like body horror movies, I feel like The Fly is in everybody's like top 5.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's definitely more well known. It is. I think this was my kind of like under the radar pick.
It's not even a bad pick. It's like a good movie. I just think remake is really hard, especially when
you have a better representation. You definitely have a better representation of the remake, and it's like a, where Blair Witch kind of like fell was like with the quality. The Fly is just better than it's just great.
Really great movie, like all around. Like no, they're both great movies. I just think remake wise, I think The Fly hits the nail on the head a little bit better, and that movie is so memorable.
Yeah,
Cronenberg, man.
See, that was a quick one. We didn't really disagree on that one too much. That was just kind of like an easy round.
We'll let the fans decide who's all right, guys. Let's move on.
I'm still stewing about this Evil Dead 2 take. I mean, man,
I ruined Josh's Monday with that take.
That was crazy.
Let's move on to best sequel. You had Bride of Frankenstein, and I had Dawn of the Dead.
This was a really interesting one because I know how we both feel about both of these movies compared to the original also. And I feel like I picked the sequel so I'll be honest with everybody. I think Frankenstein is better than Bride. And I know you think the opposite. And I know you think Night is better than Dawn. And I think the opposite.
Not necessarily.
No?
My thoughts on it are I think Night of the Living Dead is a better horror experience.
Okay.
But I do think Dawn of the Dead is like a better movie. It's got the better script. The characters are a lot better.
Right.
Yeah, no, like I think I came to that conclusion last year. Like Night of the Living Dead, to me, there's something about the black and white cinematography and how secluded and bottlenecked the movie is. Like it's really a one location movie for the most part. And just this sense of like being trapped. You don't really get that claustrophobic atmosphere in Dawn of the Dead, but also, man, it just has so many good... I guess this goes into my defense of Dawn of the Dead as a remake, as a sequel, but my attack of your movie and my defense of Dawn of the Dead is Bride of the Frankenstein is great. I think you already said it, but I do think Bride of Frankenstein is better than the original Frankenstein. But I think that both films, even though the plots are different, I think that Bride of Frankenstein and the original offer a very similar experience. They weren't made that far apart, and again, they're both fucking amazing movies. If you guys have like a thing against like old horror movies, check them out. They're really a lot of fun, but I get a very similar experience from both movies, even if I enjoy the experience of Bride of Frankenstein a little bit more. When you're talking about best sequel, I want a film that surpasses the original and offers me something new. Dawn of the Dead is a very, very different movie from Night of the Living Dead. And while Night of the Living Dead may, to me, be more downright terrifying, because, again, of that claustrophobia, that seclusion, that feeling of you don't know what's going on, Dawn of the Dead is just a all-around better film. I think it has better effects, it's better shot, better performances, better script, more themes and subtext in that script. Again, the characters, the dialogue are super memorable. You have an excellent monologue from Ken Foray when they're trying to figure out what's going on with these zombies, and he has this little speech about how his grandfather used to say that the dead will rise when there's no more room in hell. That shit is like burned into my brain.
That's one of the most popular taglines you got.
It's so good, and amazing effects by Tom Savini, who also does stunt work in the film, and also he's in the movie too. Like, not only doing stunts, he plays one of the bikers in the gang. Also, shout out Terrifier 3. It has a Tom Savini cameo, and that is so cool. But yeah, so that's really my defense. I think, again, to encapsulate it all, and you can retort and whatnot, I just think Bride of the Frankenstein offers a lot of what the first film does, whereas Dawn is a totally new and more enriched experience.
Fair. So, I know I said I think Frankenstein is slightly better, not that much better. But this I think is I think this is a bigger I'll be honest, when I even when I would have the argument with Jake, a lot of people I think you would always put Night of the Living Dead above Dawn. I think it surpasses it, but I think it's kind of like down the middle, if not leaning towards Night of the Living Dead, because I think I think Dawn for a lot of people is a more enjoyable experience, which is why I think people say it surpasses. But I think other people on the other side of the fence do just view Night of the Living Dead as more of the classic. I think Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, where you say it's like kind of like a similar experience, I agree with you, compared to the other two at least. I think it's the minority to view Frankenstein as like the better film. I think like 80 to 90% of people say that Bride of Frankenstein is like the definitive horror sequel. Like that is the one that is just, some people say, much better than Frankenstein. And you have like, Frankenstein just has great performances from Colin Clive, right? Colin Clive and Boris Karloff. This one, Elsa Lanchester as the bride, First off, it has one of the most like famous scenes in horror movie history. I don't think Dawn of the Dead has that. It has a very popular tagline, but in terms of imagery, I think Bride takes the cake easily over Dawn. I think it's better shot. I think the production value is higher than Dawn.
I don't know.
You disagree? You disagree?
It's tough because like,
and I think the performances are much better in Bride. Dawn to me,
much better is tough.
Dawn to me is not. I don't think that's not a movie that's like the like peak part of that is not the performances. I think everybody's very good, but Bride, like, that is like something that's kind of like that elevates the movie.
You're not gonna agree and you're gonna hate me. I think I put Ken Foray in Dawn of the Dead above anybody in Bride.
Even if you do,
yeah,
you can't deny like what is the like more like what's the better representation of a horror movie, you know, like that is it they
Dawn
take
of
the
the Dead.
cake. No, I'm saying like it's characters, it's like performances and characters. It leans definitely more to Bride of Frankenstein.
It's definitely a horror film. I'm not gonna say it's not, but that movie feels more like a dramatic tragedy to me.
I think that plays so well into like, because like I love when horror movies play with like just the like drama of things too, and have like
and that's
kind of like
I
heart-wrenching
agree.
scenes too. I don't need the horror movie just to be a horror movie. I love when it blends like other serious elements to kind of like build on the genre.
And that's why I kind of stand
it.
with I fully agree, and that's where I stand with Dawn of the Dead. Like I think it's just a much more emotional experience than Bride of Frankenstein, just because you have it's and you know, I realized this while watching it the most recent time, is that there's so many scenes that are on the surface, they're like fun and lighthearted, but there's always this underlying sense of despair in all of the scenes. And I think specifically, there's so many, you want to talk about heart-wrenching scenes, there's so many heart-wrenching scenes in Dawn of the Dead. By the end of the film, you know, you've lost two characters that you've grown to really care about, and both of them have really, really sad deaths, especially, I can't remember his name, the blonde guy, the first one to die in the mall, and he has this like exchange where he's like, I'm gonna try really hard not to come back as a zombie, is like the gist of what he's saying. And he's like, but when I do, kill me, but I'm gonna try really hard not to. And there's so much tragedy, and as the film progresses, it's like, at first, like, it's fun, and they got all this access to this mall, and it's exciting, and look at all this fun, cool, free stuff. And then just every scene progressively gets more and more filled with dread, to a way that, like, again, I think Bride of Frankenstein is super entertaining. I think it's a great film, great production, great performances. But, you know, Dawn of the Dead has the added benefit of coming out 40 years later, and I think it just holds up a little bit better. I think both are, like, quote-unquote timeless movies in a sense, but there's nothing really about Dawn of the Dead where I'm like, even the stuff that like some of the blood looks a little too red, like some of the blood looks a little
Yeah.
like Dario Argento Giallo-esque, where it's like overly bright red. But even that, I feel personally, it adds to the charm of the movie and makes it just a fun watch, no matter how old it gets.
So if things are dated for your movie, it's okay because it's charming. But if it's
No,
dated
no.
for, a movie
I'm not speaking to me personally. I'm saying, and I feel like you would probably agree with this, the masses, I feel like on a general like mass basis, I feel like more people would have an easier time in current day watching Dawn of the Dead as opposed
I agree.
to Bride of Frankenstein.
I agree. But in terms of like what, just like representing the genre,
Well,
I don't know. They both do. Like they obviously
Yeah.
both do. And I have both these
They're both
movies like
classics, for sure.
in my top like horror movies. But I do have Bride above Dawn as like the slightly better horror movie. But look at like just like photography. Bride takes it.
No.
So no, it does. No,
I think Dawn of the Dead is superbly well shot. Like if there's
no. I'm not talking about cinematography. I'm talking about just photographs of like stills. The Bride, you don't like.
one's black and white. That's a weird comparison.
No, like I'm saying like Frankenstein and Bride, they're kind of like, what do you have in Dawn that actually has like a key? Yeah, I mean I'm talking about like representative imagery.
Oh, you're talking about like iconic imagery?
Yes.
I think
Like it goes to Bride, it just does. She like her overall look is extremely like
yeah. No, I guess in terms of like visual iconography, I guess I would give like I tip the hat to Bride of Frankenstein just because
and
I think
scenes. It has like one of the number one scenes in horror history. The hiss, like at the end, like the whole end of that movie is like
I think
it's more.
I do think on a like story level, I think like what Dawn of the Dead is saying thematically, I think is more interesting than Bride of Frankenstein. I think it just has better subtext when it comes to its writing. I think its dialogue is just, for me, more memorable. Like, not in like an iconic sense, but like what they're actually talking about. And there's just again, it's hard to argue classic versus a classic. I just think. I also think, and this lends to, again, the best sequel argument, is I think that there's not really a lot of people who, if you don't like the first Frankenstein, they're going to watch the second one and enjoy it. Whereas I could see someone not really vibing with Night of the Living Dead, but then watching Dawn of the Dead and having a much better experience with that. Again, because it is so different. And again, because if we go back and forth on like arguing just like classic versus classic, it is really hard. I will say, I'll give it to you. Yours is more iconic. I will say though, I think Dawn of the Dead has a more iconic soundtrack. I think the music in it is pretty distinct and memorable.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's with a lot of like those movies in the 30s. I don't think that was like a prominent thing that they.
Yeah, and again, that's why it's hard to compare a movie from like the 30s to a movie from the 70s,
but overall,
the late 70s, but.
I think a lot of people would list Dawn of the Dead as obviously like a horror masterpiece. I think you'll see people list Bride as like an actual like cinematic masterpiece, and they put that over Frankenstein more so. I don't really see that as much with Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. So I think Bride is like very like famous for excelling its predecessor. Dawn is kind of like I think it's more case by case. I think Bride is it's a little bit more unanimous, but
I think it's tough. I think both are fairly split. From what I've seen, at least, it seems like I've seen lists that have like Frankenstein above Bride and Night above Dawn, and I've seen other lists where Dawn's above Night and Bride is higher. It really is. I think both are like a real case by case. But I think we are a little short on time. I know we wanted, so I'm gonna give you. We have, I think, 2 or 3 categories that we didn't really cover. We didn't discuss best slasher.
Wow, isn't that weird?
Well, I know. I don't know how we skipped that one. We did not do best so bad it's good, and we have not talked about the best movie with Dick Miller.
We also didn't do best supernatural. You just talked a lot about Exorcist.
Oh, correct. So we really have not covered much. We are bad at this.
Okay, so let's just say this: best slasher. I mean, you kind of said it when I picked it. You can't
All
beat
right,
it.
yeah. Give me here. I'll tell you what. We'll give because everything that can be said about Halloween and Scream has already been said. But from our personal experience, give me one to two sentences on why it is the best slasher.
What, Halloween?
Halloween.
I think overall it's better directed and framed. And I mean, I'm just going to get the obvious out of the way. Soundtrack destroys Scream, absolutely destroys. And I think Michael Myers has just stuck with the genre a lot better than Ghostface has. I mean, they both have, obviously, but I think Michael Myers is like the greatest slasher killer of all time. And I think that's very commonly known. So that's going to be my quick. It's above Scream.
For my defense of Scream, I would just say that Scream is, in my opinion, like the definitive slasher. It really has an edge over a lot of the other ones that are a little more straightforward horror. It does have a layer of comedy underneath with its meta commentary on not just slashers, but the genre as a whole. And I think it's very hard for a movie that's satirical and meta to not only be meta, but also still be a really effective film in that genre. Scream is one of those ones that I think hits the sweet spot of it really works as a meta commentary on horror, but it also just really works on its own as a slasher. And yeah, I wouldn't disagree that Michael Myers is probably the most iconic. It's either him or Jason for the most iconic killers, but if there's a top 5, Ghostface is easily in that. The Ghostface, I went trick-or-treating just the other day with my nephew, and the amount of Ghostface masks I saw on children no less, is still crazy. It's, to me, it's a really effective slasher, good kills, iconic kills, and it's just excellent. And it does have good music. Not as good as Halloween, but it does have a good score. And it also has Red Right Hand.
Yeah, I mean, Halloween, I think has the greatest soundtrack of like any horror movie.
Agreed.
So
yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that one. Yeah. You got the first pick, so I'm not going to argue with that. That Halloween was going to be mine.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to
quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly, I just want to say Supernatural. That was really tough. Those were the two I had. You said a lot about Exorcist that I don't think you probably don't need to repeat, but The Shining.
Yeah. I've defended The Exorcist. What do you have to say about The Shining?
So that's my greatest, and I think I have Exorcist like right under it. I think Jack and Wendy. The performances are so good in both. Like I really can't even like put it that much above Exorcist, but I personally think their performances are like some of the best in like any horror movie. And it has my favorite cinematography in horror movies. Like I think it's so incredibly like well shot. I think it's paced really well. Even though it's like really long, and it had some of like the scariest scenes for me as a kid growing up. That old lady shower scene, tub scene.
Oh my God, yeah.
That stuck with me for a lot of my life.
It's still with me.
But yeah, Exorcist has like it definitely has the theme. I don't know like the whole soundtrack of The Exorcist. I only remember the main theme.
I only remember the main theme of both. I would say
The
honestly,
Shining is very like. I think I try to find the Shining soundtrack, but I really like you can't. I don't think it's like on Apple Music or anything, but like
in terms of like main theme versus main theme, I think they're like dead even. Tubular Bells and The Shining theme are like tied for me.
But one's original, right? Exorcist isn't original.
Is it not?
No.
Oh.
No. That was something they just that was already established.
All right, so then that gives The Shining The Exorcist the edge. That easy, more original.
Wait, no.
Wait, I thought you said you said
no,
The
Tubular Bells was not original.
Oh, clever reincorporation. I can't lose. Yeah, dude. No, I mean, I can't disagree with anything about The Shining. Those are 1 and 2. I low key forgot about The Shining when I picked The Exorcist. I do think The Exorcist is. I think it's the greatest horror film of all time. It's not my favorite, but I would just go back to my quick defense. Is I think that The Shining is more straight up horror. It's doesn't have that many themes or subtext underneath in the way that The Exorcist does. And so for that reason, again, I think The Exorcist transcends the genre. It is just a great movie on its own right. But yeah. Shining is fucking, dude. Shining is amazing. It might be the most well shot horror movie.
Yeah,
I can't even argue with that. The tracking shot of Danny riding around, that might be one of the most top 5 iconic scenes in any movie ever.
And the obvious like door frame shot.
Here's
Johnny.
No, absolutely. Both just iconic fucking horror movies. Okay, so what else do we have left? We have
So Bad It's Good.
All right, let's actually let's do a quick defense of our best movie with Dick Miller, and then we'll do an actual final. We'll actually discuss Halloween Kills and Birdemic.
Okay.
So for best Dick Miller movie, I cannot really attack Night of the Creeps because I have not seen it. Josh says that I would like it, so I'll take his word for it. But in my defense of Chopping Mall, you will not find many 80s like B horror movies as fun and wacky as Chopping Mall. It's a movie about like killer security robots that go around killing teens having sex in a mall. I mean, it has Barbara Crampton in it, Josh's hottest.
Yeah, he does have that.
It has Barbara Crampton. It has, Dick Miller, who has an awesome death scene in the movie. So if we're trying to tie the movie into the actual category, Dick Miller has an iconic death in it. It's so fucking great. And it's really efficient. It's like an hour and 27 minutes. It's really fun and silly. And the robots are hilarious, like 80s style robots. Like the most 80s robots you could possibly imagine. It's really fun. It's really entertaining. And it's just, I don't know. If you're looking for like one of those like movies to drink beer with your friends and watch and not really pay that much attention to, and then every so often you look over and you see some boobs or a fun kill, like Chopping Mall is up there as one of the best. So
yeah, honestly, I think we picked very similar movies. I guess Dick Miller is just like, this is his like favorite kind of genre in horror movies. I don't know.
He's just been in everything.
But Night of the Creeps, you know what? I picked a movie that I also haven't seen in a couple years, but I remember when I first watched it, I just loved, like, it was such a blast. It's like you got like aliens and zombies, like kind of like as like the main, like, I don't know. It's
That
just
sounds awesome.
Like they invade and obviously infect humans, and it's just like a bunch of teenagers just kind of like battling the infected zombies. It's a really fun time, and I actually think it's actually pretty good. I think it's actually pretty solid as like a horror movie. I think I saw Chopping Mall, but I didn't rate it, so I probably don't remember it that well.
Oh, it's on Tubi right now. Watch it.
Yeah, I might. That just sounds like
you and Lauren would have so much fun with that.
Yeah, these movies are both like blasts, probably. So like it's kind of hard to like say which one is better. But you do have Barbara Crampton. Like
I
will
have
give you
Barbara
that.
Crampton. Yeah.
But
and her death is
let's
also awesome.
Let me not put it. I'm not gonna put it lightly. I got some honeys in mine. Okay, there's a good amount of honeys there.
Anybody that I would recognize? Let's see.
I don't know.
1986, dude, pretty decent reviews. Not gonna lie.
I know. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I don't. Let's see, because I've seen a lot of like 80s.
So I'll just leave it at this. I think I have the better movie on top of it, and I might have the better time. I don't know.
You don't have the better time. I can assure you of that. Shopping Mall, Josh. It's killer robots that go around killing teens in a mall that have sex. It's awesome. There's nothing that can top that. All right, so now for our final actual debate, and then we'll review our teams one last time, and then send it on out, guys. And I hope you enjoyed listening to the bonus episode. But we're gonna do probably the most fun category, the best so bad it's good. I'd like to take you back to the time when Halloween Kills came out. I was living in California at the time, and I had access to a dispensary. So right before going to see Halloween Kills, popped a couple edibles in, and had probably a top 5 theater experience of my life. I have since rewatched Halloween Kills, I think 3 or 4 times. And in terms of filmmaking and screenwriting, it is maybe one of the dumbest movies that I have ever seen in my entire life.
Wow.
But God damn it if it isn't one of the most fun and ridiculous piles of trash I've ever seen. It is a bad movie from every measurable standpoint. And I'm very fresh on this because I rewatched Halloween Kills and Ends recently. Halloween Ends is a slightly better movie from like a technical story standpoint. It's just a really weird entry for like the end of a saga of a franchise. That's the shit that doesn't make any sense. But it's pretty well shot. There's good music. And not to say there's not good music in Halloween Kills, but Halloween Kills has one of the dumbest stories and scripts maybe in any horror movie. It is genuinely baffling. And again, I've seen it 4 or 5 times at this point. Never sober. And it is a fucking blast start to finish. I don't, when I'm watching movies, even good comedies, I don't typically laugh when I'm by myself. I was cackling watching this alone by myself the other night. It is comedy gold, start to finish, and I love it. And I will end my statement by saying there's a scene where Laurie Strode is in a hospital and her daughter is trying to convince her to stay there and not go with everybody to chase Michael Myers. And she grabs a random syringe and Judy Greer, her daughter, says, "What's that? Do you even know what that is?" And deadpan, Laurie Strode says, "It makes the pain go away." And then she shoves it in her ass. And that's my defense for Halloween Kills. And also, guys, evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight.
Dude, that scene, like that, like overly dramatic scene of the inmate getting chased through like the
Danny DeVito's penguin.
Yes, that was incredible. I don't like understand. When you watch a movie, you're just baffled where the writers and directors' minds were of like did they think this was good? That is some of those Halloween sequels.
It is
the newer Halloween sequels. It's insane.
Josh, I've never seen a trilogy of movies that makes less sense.
Yeah. So here's my thing with Halloween Kills. It was so upsetting the first time. I had fun with this movie because I knew it was gonna be bad. But when you were watching it, like at least for the first time for me, I was just like, it was more so with Ends though. I was just like, where the hell is this like? Yeah. How? I was just like and I was like, even though I could have fun with it, I was very annoyed. I wasn't annoyed with Birdemic, ever. Like I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but I remember, like I know that Birdemic is known as like it's like The Room. It's just one of those really popular.
It's The Room
like,
of horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to go with it, and I remember watching it like a long time ago, and just like, it's not even. There's like some really, really bad movies that they could fall in this category, but some of them are just like very like tough to get through. It's just like, this is like Black Christmas. When we did Black Christmas, or like, I guess we didn't do that yet, but
spoiler alert, guys, Black Christmas is coming up.
We could just cut that out, but I'll just say
I'm not going to cut it.
But like Black Christmas is one of those like horror movies. It's like, those are really bad, and it's hard to enjoy.
He's talking about the 2019 one, guys. We love the original.
And the 06. Like, both of them are, like, really just, I don't know.
The 06 one kind of fun, though.
Maybe if you're with people. I don't know. But, yeah, Birdemic, I mean, amazingly shit quality. Like, I can't even, like, understand how a movie like this gets this popular. Like, I wonder what clicks with people, but this is the definitive pick. I had to just go with this one. Yeah. Halloween Kills was an interesting one because that's like a newer pick. I'm surprised you didn't go like more of like a classic pick.
No, I mean, listen, this is probably the one where we had the most freedom with picking a movie, just because there are so many. I mean, we talked about this when we were texting before recording. Like, horror has so much bad in it. Like, we love horror. It's, again, my favorite genre. I don't know what your favorite genre is, but I love horror. It's just so fun.
It might be. Like, it always was, and I kind of like teetered on like horror and drama. It really depends on my mood. I don't know.
Drama is just so, I feel like, broad. But, I mean, drama has probably the best pool of movies.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas, like, horror is the opposite.
So it's kind of cheating. But yeah, in terms of like enjoyment, probably.
Yeah, but enjoyment is a huge thing, and it's like when I think about this, A bad drama is just bad to sit through. A bad comedy is really painful, usually, for both. There's a couple like bad comedies and bad dramas that are like hilariously bad, but it doesn't always. Whereas like bad horror movies, there's just
It's the most charming. It's the most charming.
It is, and it's because there's something so genuine about someone trying to make something scary, and it completely missed the mark.
Yeah.
Like it's so genuine. I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, you can really like, I don't know. Horror is just one of those genres where it's like, I don't even. It feels like I've talked to you about this, how I like sometimes rate movies, and sometimes horror is the genre. It's the only genre where I feel like I can rate a movie differently.
Yeah.
Like I can rate it as
no.
a horror movie, and I can rate it as a movie. I can't do that with anything else. I can't do it with comedy. Like it's, I don't know what it is about the genre.
I think what it is with horror, when it like comes to rating a movie, is like within horror, there's set expectations that you have to try to meet. You don't go into a drama with the same expectations you do of a horror movie, right? And it's like, I think that anticipation, those expectations being different are why it's like when I watch, I'm not going to rate, like, does Halloween have some bad acting in it? Yeah. Some of the acting's not amazing. The kids aren't great. But what Halloween sets out to do, I think it achieves, like on all measures. So that even some of the bad acting, dude, in one of the kill scenes, they reuse audio in 2 back-to-back clips. It's like it's a glaring audio flaw, but it's still a 10 out of 10 for me. So
I'm gonna say, like, obviously, drama's the best. No one's gonna dispute drama's the best genre. Horror has like always been like the genre, like the special genre to me. Like
it's the most fun.
That is my favorite, and because it's such a unique world. Like no other genre has a world like horror.
No.
It just has like its own like just element.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so original. It's like the most creative genre.
It's very niche too. Like it's like a thing when you like horror movies, because like a lot of people don't. A lot of people just like don't get it. So when you do like horror movies, there's like that little bit of connection,
There's a community with it.
Yeah, exactly.
That comes with it.
There's not like a community of drama movie fan lovers,
because it is so broad.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
And like you said, when comedy's bad, it's bad. It's like
it's like the new Vacation movie that came out a couple years ago. Like
holy hell,
that wasn't fun to sit through.
No, it wasn't. That's one of the movies I walked out of. I couldn't. I literally walked out. But
all right. Wait, what was your pick again? Your last pick? Oh, Birdemic. So yeah, I haven't seen Birdemic in a long time. When I watch Birdemic, there's like an earnest nature to it, where it's like and I've seen interviews with the guy who made it. Like he genuinely thought he was making a good movie. It's kind of funny.
that's just like Tommy with The Room.
It's exactly. And there's that like earnest, genuine nature to it that I like, but there is something to Halloween Kills where I am literally baffled by every other creative decision made. Where it's like not only
and because it has a budget too. It has a budget.
Yeah, like it like looks like a real movie, and you're just wondering again, like this has millions of dollars behind it. How did they fuck this up so badly?
Yeah.
And also, dude, it's like comedic. Like again, like the Evil Dies Tonight shit. Like there's like they no joke say Evil Dies Tonight like 56 fucking times. It's obscene.
I love when Anthony Michael Hall is like getting the crowd together, and he's like leading them to, and he turns around to like face the camera from like a far shot, and he just says it again with his like hand in the air. That shit cracked me up. He
goes after Michael Myers with a fucking baseball bat. In the final fight, someone brings an iron to fight Michael Myers. Old Huckleberry.
Old
Huckleberry. He was going to take a swing at Michael and ended up killing a mentally ill 4'7" man. Are you fucking out of your mind?
Dude, I'll say though, the music in all those movies is just so good.
Exactly.
It's incredible.
Like, that's my last defense. Is not only is it a bad movie from a script standpoint, but there's good shit in it. There are good kills. Yeah. Michael Myers in hand-to-hand combat fights and kills like 13 firemen. That's ridiculous. In the first 5 minutes, buddy.
That's ridiculous. I might watch it.
Laurie Strode, the main character of this franchise, sits in a hospital bed for the entire 2 hours.
And just flirts with Fucking
He flirts
what's
with
his name?
with the coach from Remember the Titans.
Yeah,
Will Patton.
Will Patton. Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. So I think I swept you on the best so bad it's good.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think I got you on that one.
Nah.
No, both are great, but for different reasons. Like Birdemic is genuinely like a shitty, poorly made movie, but it's made earnestly, and Halloween Kills is just confusing.
Here's what kind of ruins Halloween Kills, though. As like the so bad it's good, there are shockingly like a community of people that think it's good.
You got me there.
There is no one that thinks Birdemic is. Everyone is on the same page. Like, this is bad.
That's
and
a
we
good
love
argument.
It.
Shit.
We love it. So like that's
right.
the thing with like Halloween Kills. Why it like doesn't work as well for me.
Fuck. Also, too, I feel like if it's a so bad it's good movie, I'm gonna make an argument on your side for this one. I feel like if for a so bad it's good movie, like Halloween Kills is like the 12th Halloween movie, so you can't just like show it to a random person who's never seen Halloween.
Very
like they
true.
wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
Birdemic, you could just show to anybody and be like,
Yeah.
witness.
Yeah, if your movie is the first entry and it's this
Yeah.
bad, got a point there.
Insane.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. All right, you maybe won that one. You maybe got
But everything
me on
else
that
is just
round.
everything else is just gonna be up to the crowd.
Yeah, we'll let you guys decide. But I guess we're kind of at the end of it, guys. I had a really good time. You know what? I'm never gonna ever say that an episode's gonna be short because we're not good at that. We're not good at keeping things short. This is not that podcast. I've accepted it. Even our bonus episode is still long, so we're gonna ride with it, guys. Thank you guys for listening to the Halloween Town episode, especially on YouTube. It seemed to be our most popular episode by a large margin, which means that I think we need to do more Disney kids movies because people seem to like hearing us talk about them. And there's a good like to dislike ratio, so they're not even mad that we tore apart kids movies for 2.5 hours. But thank you guys, as always, for listening. I hope you enjoyed this draft episode. It was really
please
fun
let us
picking-
know who won.
Yeah, let us know who
Really
won
want
in
some
the comments
there.
I think on Spotify, we don't really get a ton of listeners on Spotify, but if you guys are listening to this on YouTube and you want to vote in a poll, I'm going to put a poll on Spotify. You can vote for mine or Josh's team. Who had the better selections? If you're listening to this on YouTube, on my former film student channel, make sure to give me a like, subscribe, and this is where we post the episodes on YouTube. And also comment, because I don't know if you can comment on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I don't think you can, but you can comment on YouTube. So let us know in the comments, guys, what you thought about our picks, where we went wrong. Oh, let us know what your team would look like if you were drafting.
Would love to see that.
Yeah, I'd love to know what everybody's picks would be for each of the genres, especially the best Dick Miller one. Oh, if you guys are wondering, we decided to throw out The Terminator because it was too obvious for Dick Miller, because it's like the only... I don't know. One of us could have taken Gremlins. The fact that neither of us
I thought you were. I thought that was yours.
I thought you were, but I had to go Chopping Mall.
Nah, I don't see Gremlins as a horror movie, to be honest.
No,
But,
it definitely is.
No, it's not. But we can talk about that another day.
Insane. Oh, it's probably a thriller.
No, not at all.
Dickhead. No, just
That's
kidding.
like,
but yeah, anything you want to plug, Josh?
no, I mean, same stuff, guys. I mean, we do the most on our Instagram, so give us a follow there, Franchise Deep Dive. If you want to DM us there, obviously you can do that. You can also email us, franchisedeepdive@gmail. But yeah, throw your comments in wherever you want, whether it's Instagram or YouTube. That's probably where, we'll see them. But listen to it wherever you love to listen to your podcast.
I respond to every comment on YouTube, unless you say something mean to me.
Depends how mean, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, no slurs. We already had a problem with that. No slurs of any kind in the comment section.
Yeah, if you want to be a little mean, go ahead. Just don't be too mean.
You could call us idiots, because
that's fine.
We are at times, for sure. But anyway, guys, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed listening to this little bonus episode. We might be doing this from time to time.
I'm a sucker for draft episodes, so
love a good draft
happy to do it again.
episode. Yeah, I think it'd be fun too if we could bring on one of our friends, get a third person in. It would make the picks a little bit harder.
Dude, it'd make a long ass episode. Imagine having a third person in here.
No, we just like to talk. Maybe we'll pick someone who doesn't talk too much.
Or maybe just do less we did 10 categories.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
You know,
We'll do like 6 categories. Maybe we'll do like a Christmas draft or something like that. That'd be fun. But either way, guys, thank you again for listening. As always, you find us anywhere you get your podcasts: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on all 3 of those. And I hope you guys have a happy Halloween. This might be releasing on Halloween. We'll see how fast I can edit it.
Yeah, happy Halloween, guys.
Yep. Hope you had a great October. And that's it for today. Goodbye.
Yep. Later.